Have you ever trusted someone so deeply, only to have them rip your world apart? For me, that person wasn't a stranger. It wasn't a toxic friend or a manipulative partner. No, it was my own sister. The one person I thought would stand by my side, no matter what. Growing up, my sister and I were inseparable. We shared everything: our toys, our secrets, and even our dreams for the future. People used to say we were more like best friends than siblings. I believed that too. I wanted to believe that. In my eyes, nothing could break the bond we had. But I was wrong. Very wrong. You see, betrayal hurts, but betrayal from someone you love, that cuts deeper than anything you can imagine. One single lie, just a few twisted words, was all it took to destroy everything I had worked for. My reputation, my family's trust, my entire future, all gone in an instant. And the worst part, I didn't even see it coming. This is the story of how my sister's jealousy and lies turned my world upside down. How she manipulated everyone around me, painting me as the villain while she played the perfect daughter. And how in the end, karma came knocking when no one expected it. It's a story of trust broken, heart shattered, and the painful lesson that sometimes your greatest enemy isn't out there in the world. It's right beside you, smiling, hiding in plain sight. Stay with me. You're going to want to hear how this one ends. I grew up in what most people would call a picture-perfect family. We lived in a quiet neighborhood. My parents worked tirelessly to give us a comfortable life, and on the outside, everything looked ideal. My sister Sarah and I were just 2 years apart. From the moment we were little, we were compared to each other constantly by relatives, teachers. Sarah was the lively one, outgoing, charming, and the kind of person who could light up a room. I was the opposite, quieter, more reserved, but focused and determined. Where Sarah thrived in social situations, I thrived in academics. My parents, especially my mom, always emphasized the importance of education. They praised my report cards, hung my certificates on the fridge, and beamed with pride whenever someone complimented my achievements. Sarah, on the other hand, often struggled in school. I never saw her as less than. She was my sister, my best friend, and I always believed we complemented each other. Whenever she came to me crying over a failed test or a bad grade, I would drop everything to help her study. I wanted both of us to succeed, but I didn't realize that beneath the surface, resentment was brewing. Looking back, there were signs, small at first, easy to overlook. Sarah would roll her eyes when my parents praised me. She'd make sarcastic remarks like, "Well, of course Miss Perfect aced her exams again," or "Not all of us have to be overachievers, you know." I'd laugh it off, thinking it was typical sibling teasing. But over time, those comments grew sharper, more biting. I remember one particular day when I received a letter announcing that I had been accepted into a prestigious summer program. My parents were ecstatic, throwing a small celebration at home with balloons and cake. Sarah sat at the table smiling tightly, but her eyes told a different story. That night, I overheard her crying in her room, and my heart broke for her. I went in, hugged her, and told her she was amazing in her own way. I truly meant it, but I could tell my words didn't soothe the deep insecurity she carried. As we entered our final years of high school, the pressure ramped up. I was offered an internship at a prestigious firm and shortlisted for a full-ride scholarship to my dream university. My parents were over the moon, bragging about me to anyone who would listen. Sarah, meanwhile, seemed to shrink into the background. She started staying out late, hanging with a new crowd, and her grades slipped even further. I tried to pull her back to remind her that we were in this together, but she always responded with cold detachment. One evening, after a family dinner where my parents once again went on and on about my achievements, Sarah cornered me in the hallway. Her eyes were sharp, her voice low and bitter. "Do you even realize how sick I am of hearing your name? You get everything you always have." I was stunned. "Sarah, it's not a competition. I've always tried to help you. She laughed, a hollow, angry sound. Help me. You don't even see it, do you? Mom and Dad only care about you. I'm just the extra, the failure. Her words cut deep, and I didn't know how to respond. I tried to reach out, but she brushed me off and stormed away. Few weeks later, I caught her whispering on the phone late at night. I heard fragments of the conversation. My name? Scholarship. They'll believe it. And something that made my stomach twist in knots. She deserves it. I stood frozen outside her door, heart racing, my mind spinning. What did she mean? What was she planning? At the time, I convinced myself I was overreacting. I told myself she was just venting, frustrated by her own struggles. After all, she was my sister, my best friend, my blood. There's no way she would ever, right? But deep down, something felt off. And soon I would find out just how far jealousy can push someone, and how blind love can make you to the warning signs. It all came crashing down one afternoon. I will never forget. I had just returned home from school, buzzing with excitement, because my scholarship had been officially approved. This was my moment, the payoff for years of late nights, sacrifices, and endless hard work. I walked through the front door ready to celebrate, but immediately sensed something was wrong. My parents were at the kitchen table, their faces stone cold. Sarah stood near the counter, her eyes red and puffy, her arms folded tightly across her chest. "Sit down," my dad said, his tone like ice. My heart began to race. "What's going on?" Without a word, my mom slid an envelope across the table. "Care to explain this?" Confused, I pulled out the papers. My eyes scanned the pages. Screenshots of emails, text messages, messages supposedly from me. They accused me of bribing teachers, cheating on exams, manipulating my way into the scholarship. My hands shook. My throat went dry. "This isn't me." I gasped. "I swear I've never done anything like this." My mom's eyes welled with tears. "We trusted you. We told the whole family how proud we were. And now this." My dad slammed his hand on the table, making me jump. "We raised you better than this. Cheating. Bribery. You've humiliated this family." My mind was spinning. It felt like I had stepped into a nightmare. "Please, you have to believe me. I would never." But Sarah stepped forward, her voice trembling. "I didn't want to say anything, but I've seen things. Late-night calls, hiding your phone, secret meetings." I thought something was off, but I didn't want to believe it. I stared at her, my vision blurring with tears. "Sarah, why are you saying this? You know it's not true." But she wouldn't meet my eyes, my own sister twisting the knife while pretending to care. My dad's jaw tightened. "Until we figure this out, you're grounded. Forget about university. You're not going anywhere until we sort this mess." I felt my entire world crumble in that instant. My dream gone. My parents' trust shattered. I couldn't breathe. I ran upstairs, slamming the door behind me, and sank onto my bed, sobbing until my chest ached. Days turned into weeks. The silence at home was unbearable. My parents barely looked at me, and when they did, their eyes were full of disappointment and anger. I became invisible, no longer the golden child, but a stain on the family's reputation. At school, the rumors spread like wildfire. People whispered behind my back. Teachers who once praised me now watched me with suspicion. Friends who had been by my side for years slowly distanced themselves, leaving me isolated and humiliated. Sarah, meanwhile, thrived. She started sitting with my parents at dinner, helping with chores, offering fake words of comfort like, "We'll get through this as a family." It was like watching her step into my place, wearing my role like a mask she'd always coveted. One night, after another silent, tension-filled dinner, I overheard my parents talking in the living room. My dad's voice was low and heavy. "I just can't believe she would do this after everything we gave her." My mom sighed. "Maybe we pushed her too hard. But still, this is unforgivable. I lay in bed, tears slipping silently down my cheeks. The people who had raised me, loved me, cheered me on at every step. They truly believed I was a fraud, and the person who had orchestrated it all, sleeping peacefully in the room next door. It was crushing. The betrayal wasn't just from Sarah. It was from my entire world collapsing around me. I felt like a stranger in my own home, a ghost haunting the hallways of a life that no longer belonged to me. The weight of it all became unbearable. My mental health spiraled. I started questioning my own worth, wondering if somehow deep down I deserved this. I lost my appetite, my motivation, my hope. Each day blurred into the next, a painful reminder that everything I had worked for was gone. But then, a spark. Late one night, as I lay awake in the dark, I heard Sarah on the phone. Her voice was sharp, confident, dripping with arrogance. I told them everything. They bought it, hook, line, and sinker. She's out of the picture now. Finally, I have my chance. My blood ran cold. My suspicions were confirmed. It had been her all along. Rage mixed with heartbreak as I realized the full extent of her betrayal. She had not only lied, she had destroyed my life with precision and cruelty. I wanted to confront her right then, to scream and demand answers. But a part of me held back. No, I needed proof. Solid, undeniable proof. The next day, I confided in Lily, my best friend, the only person who had never wavered in believing me. We devised a plan. Lily pretended to reach out to Sarah, offering fake sympathy and pretending she wanted to help keep the story straight. Sarah, drunk on her own success, fell right into the trap. She confessed everything in text, how she had faked the emails, manipulated the screenshots, and twisted the narrative to take me down. We saved every message, every detail. For the first time in weeks, I felt a flicker of hope. I held on to the evidence, my heart pounding, knowing it was my ticket to the truth. But even with proof in hand, the hardest part was yet to come. For days, I stared at the messages Sarah had sent to Lily. Line after line, it was all there. Confessions, manipulation, her full scheme laid bare. I had the proof I'd been praying for, but instead of feeling relief, I felt numb. This was my sister, my blood, the person I had trusted most in the world. I spent sleepless nights debating what to do. A part of me wanted to storm downstairs, shove the phone in my parents' faces, and demand justice. Another part of me, a smaller, quieter voice, whispered that doing so would destroy what was left of our family forever. But deep down, I knew the truth had to come out. I couldn't live under the weight of her lies any longer. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky a dull orange, I made my decision. I printed every screenshot, organizing them in a neat folder. My hands trembled as I placed it on the kitchen table. I sat there, waiting, my heart pounding so loudly, I thought it might burst from my chest. My parents came home an hour later. My mom spotted the folder first. "What's this?" she asked cautiously. "Proof," I said quietly, my voice shaking but resolute. "Proof that I've been telling the truth all along." They exchanged a weary glance, but sat down and opened the folder. Silence fell over the room as they read. Page after page, their eyes darkened with realization. My mom's hand flew to her mouth. My dad's face hardened, his jaw clenched so tightly I thought it might snap. When they finished, my dad stood up abruptly. "Sarah," he bellowed. Footsteps thundered down the stairs. Sarah appeared, her face pale but trying to act innocent. "What's wrong?" My dad's voice was ice. "Do you have anything to say about this?" He thrust the folder at her. She glanced at it, her eyes scanning the first page. Her confident mask cracked in an instant. I don't know what that is," she stammered, her voice shaking. "Don't lie," my mom shouted, her eyes brimming with tears of anger and betrayal. "It's all here, Sarah. Every word. How could you? Sarah's composure crumbled. Tears spilled down her cheeks. I didn't mean for it to go this far. I was just so tired of being second best. You all only ever cared about. I stood frozen, watching the scene unfold, my emotions a swirl of heartbreak and vindication. My parents looked utterly shattered, as if their world had fallen apart twice over first when they thought I had betrayed them, and now again, realizing it was Sarah all along. My dad's voice was low, full of hurt. Do you have any idea what you've done? You destroyed your sister's future. You tore this family apart. Sarah sank to the floor, sobbing uncontrollably. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But sorry wasn't enough. Not this time. In the days that followed, my parents tried to repair the damage. They contacted the school, the scholarship committee, everyone they could, armed with the truth. Slowly, things began to turn around. My scholarship was reinstated, and the rumors at school started to die down as the truth surfaced. But some things couldn't be undone. Our family dynamic was shattered. At home, the air was thick with tension and silence. My parents were racked with guilt, constantly apologizing, but their words felt hollow. Trust once broken doesn't heal overnight. As for Sarah, she withdrew completely. The sister who had once been my closest confidant now barely made eye contact. She tried once or twice to apologize, but every time I looked at her, I saw the face of betrayal. I couldn't bring myself to forgive. Not yet. One afternoon, my mom sat beside me, tears in her eyes. We failed you, she whispered. We should have believed you. I didn't know what to say. I just nodded, staring at my hands. My dad, normally a pillar of strength, seemed weighed down by his own guilt. We let her get inside our heads. We saw what we wanted to see, not the truth. Their remorse was real, but it didn't erase the months of pain, the endless nights I had spent crying myself to sleep, wondering if I was going crazy. I returned to school, picked up the pieces of my shattered dreams, and pressed on. Outwardly, things went back to normal, but inside, I was forever changed. The twist wasn't just that Sarah had betrayed me. It was realizing that love and trust can be weapons in the wrong hands. It was understanding that sometimes the people closest to you are capable of hurting you in ways you never imagined. And while the truth had come out and justice had been served, the scars remained deep, invisible, and lasting. In the weeks and months that followed the explosion of truth, life at home was different. It wasn't the same house I had grown up in, full of laughter and warmth. Now it felt colder, quieter, and oddly fragile, like we were all tiptoeing around the pieces of something that had shattered beyond repair. My parents tried everything they could to make amends. They reinstated my curfews, cooked my favorite meals, showered me with praise, and constantly reassured me of their pride. But it all felt forced. Their words were genuine. I knew that. But the wound of betrayal, the deep gash of having my own family doubt me, wasn't something that could be healed with apologies and comfort food. Sarah, on the other hand, became almost invisible. After her confession, she withdrew completely. No more sarcastic remarks, no more attention-seeking antics. She moved like a ghost through the house, eyes downcast, shoulders hunched. Occasionally, I'd catch her staring at me as if searching for some sign that I might one day forgive her. But every time our eyes met, my heart would harden. The pain was too raw, too deep. I tried to focus on rebuilding my life. I returned to school and poured myself into my studies with a newfound intensity. My scholarship had been reinstated, but I felt the pressure to prove myself all over again. Not just to my teachers and peers, but to myself. I worked harder than ever, driven by a fierce need to reclaim my identity, my integrity, my future. But no matter how well I did, the betrayal lingered like a shadow I couldn't shake. I found myself becoming guarded, cautious around people, even friends I had known for years. Trust, once so freely given, became something I rationed carefully, holding it close like a fragile treasure. Therapy helped. I started seeing a counselor who helped me unpack the layers of pain, anger, and sadness that had built up inside me. Through those sessions, I learned that forgiveness doesn't have to mean forgetting, that it's okay to hold people accountable while still choosing to move forward. Most importantly, I learned that healing isn't a straight path. It's messy, complicated, and full of setbacks. One of the hardest parts was grappling with my own guilt. Yes, Sarah had betrayed me, but there were moments I replayed in my head, times I had unknowingly made her feel small, insignificant, overshadowed. I didn't deserve what she did, but I also couldn't ignore that years of comparison and competition had built a pressure cooker waiting to explode. Our family dynamic shifted permanently. We went through the motions, dinners, birthdays, holidays, but the closeness we once shared was gone. My parents tried to rebuild bridges between Sarah and me, gently suggesting family therapy, or heart-to-heart talks. But I wasn't ready. Maybe one day, but not yet. The biggest change, perhaps, was within me. I was no longer the naive, trusting girl who believed that family meant unconditional love and loyalty. I had grown tougher, more self-reliant. I understood now that betrayal doesn't always come from the outside. It can strike from the place you least expect, from the people you love most. They eventually left for college, and the distance brought a strange sense of relief. The tension at home eased slightly, but the silence between us remained. We exchanged polite texts on birthdays and holidays, but nothing more. Every so often she would write a longer message, apologizing again, expressing regret, and asking for a chance to rebuild. I would read her words, stare at the screen for a long time, and then set my phone down without replying. Forgiveness, I learned, isn't just a gift you give to others. It's a gift you give yourself. I wasn't ready to give that gift yet, and that was okay. Today, when I look back on everything that happened, I feel a mix of emotions: anger, sadness, betrayal, but also pride. Pride that I survived it. Pride that I rebuilt my future from the ruins. Pride that I didn't let her lies define me. I've come to terms with the fact that some scars never fully fade, but they also don't have to control you. I've learned to live with mine, to carry them as a reminder of my strength, my resilience. And as for Sarah, well, she'll always be my sister. But the sister I thought I knew, the one I trusted implicitly, is gone. In her place is someone I barely recognize. Maybe one day we'll find our way back to each other. Maybe forgiveness will come when we're both ready. But for now, I'm at peace with the distance. I've made my peace with the past, because in the end, betrayal may break your heart, but it doesn't have to break.